This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the morning of Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. I'm Alex Brown. Chicago-based hardware wholesaler True Value Company on Monday filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and said it had entered into an agreement to sell to Fort Wayne-based Do It Best through a stalking horse bid process. Do It Best CEO Dan Starr says he plans to keep the True Value brand intact.
We really think that retail brand has continued strength. And what we'd like to do is support it, strengthen it, grow it beyond its current usage. So no, our plan would not be to migrate folks out of that brand, but instead to strengthen the brand.
If its bid is successful, Do It Best expects the sale process to close by the end of the year. The Ports of Indiana on Monday announced the launch of a new business venture it says will be the largest general cargo operation on the Ohio River. Indiana River and Rail Terminals will manage all general cargo facilities at the Jeffersonville and Mount Vernon ports, including docks, warehouses, and logistics. The General Services Administration, which handles office property management and supply tasks for the federal government, has signed a 20-year lease for 340,000 square feet of space at the River Ridge Commerce Center in Charlestown. The deal brings the U.S. Census Bureau's National Processing Center and 600 jobs to the business park. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the Engage Indiana series, presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. With an unrelenting focus on growing Indiana's economy, we'll dive into each region's unique challenges and distinct opportunities for growth. 9 regions, 1 goal. Indiana's bold future starts here. Discover more and register at ibj.com/engage.
Former Clark County Sheriff and longtime Republican operative Jamie Knoll could spend upwards of a decade in prison after a judge accepted his guilty pleas to more than a dozen felony charges in court Monday.
Knoll was originally charged with 31 felonies for allegedly misusing money from the fire and EMS departments which he oversaw. He pleaded guilty to 27 of those in August. Special Judge Larry Medlock of Washington County officially accepted Knoll's plea deal following 2 hours of victim testimony in open court. 21 statements were provided, including from members of law enforcement who formerly worked with or under Knoll, and by Hoosiers in Clark County and the surrounding communities whose lives have been upended by the former sheriff's actions. In many cases described, it was Knoll's mismanagement of millions of dollars in taxpayer money, which victims said will scar their families and communities for years to come. Knoll was also emotional as he read a prepared statement which mostly emphasized his family's innocence. Knoll agreed to plead guilty to charges of theft, money laundering, corrupt business influence, official misconduct, obstruction of justice, and tax evasion. 4 charges of ghost employment were dismissed as part of the deal. Knoll now begins a 15-year prison sentence, with 3 of those years suspended to probation. Per state law, Knoll could shave time off that sentence with good behavior in prison, leaving him to serve roughly 9.5 years behind bars. Additionally included in the deal is an agreement for Knoll to pay back more than $3 million in public funds. I'm Mark Mazurik for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
2 years ago, the site was a parking lot. Now, after more than 3 years of planning and construction, it is about to open as Indiana's newest maternity hospital, an 8-story building with 30 maternity suites and 109 neonatal intensive care unit rooms. Ascension St. Vincent provided a sneak peek Monday of its Women and Infants Hospital, a $200 million project on the south side of its flagship campus in Indianapolis. The hospital is scheduled to open November 16th. The new hospital will feature all private rooms for parents of premature newborn infants, as well as couplet rooms to allow both moms and their babies to receive care together, even if the baby needs neonatal intensive care. Additional services include inpatient, outpatient, and virtual lactation services in 2 rooms where moms can labor in a tub. Indiana Chamber of Commerce CEO Vanessa Green Cinders is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.